Coming up on Carolina News, hurricanes on the horizon. Our first forecast team tells you what to expect.
The biggest concern would most likely be heavy rainfall potential, maybe some flooding.
And plans are finalized for the demolished Richland Mall. Get a glimpse into what the area will look like in the future. Plus, South Carolina crime victims to receive compensation, millions coming their way. All that and more coming up on Carolina News.
From the University of South Carolina, your news, your sports, your weather. Carolina News begins now.
Hello and welcome to Carolina News. I'm Tyler Perrone.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Chloe Finley.
Starting off this evening with some breaking news, a future hurricane could potentially hit the Midlands. Our Aaron Smith is live with the latest. Aaron.
There are many areas in Columbia that are prone to flooding, like this intersection behind me. And with severe weather on the forecast, the city of Columbia is gearing up to keep residents, businesses, and infrastructure safe. If the current tropical disturbance, Invest 94L, develops as predicted into a major hurricane, it will be named Imelda and could bring heavy rain to our area early next week.
The full impacts of the storm right now. Our teams are making proactive steps as far as to protect our residents, infrastructure, essential services.
The city is prepping barricades and clearing drains in anticipation of the storm and collecting items such as saws, trucks, and backup generators to attend to damages if our area is heavily impacted.
We can just leap into action when needed.
Meteorologist Steve Lavoie says the future of the storm is still up in the air.
There are some forecasts that take this storm sometime early next week, at least near the South Carolina coast. Right now, it's a little bit too early to say what, if any, impacts it will be on the Midlands of South Carolina.
There are still several scenarios of how Imelda may travel.
Still some possibilities that it either gets caught up down by Cuba and doesn't impact us at all,
or it may come in our direction.
If the storm were to actually make landfall in South Carolina, we would have that wind and along the coast a storm surge threat.
A lot of the uncertainty stems because there's another storm, Hurricane Huberto, over the Atlantic.
This system interacts exactly with these two features will determine exactly what happens to our forecast area.
Okay. With the uncertainty over the impacts here, both the city of Columbia and Lavoie are stressing the importance of being
more proactive, not reactive.
Go.
So we don't quite know what to expect early next week, but you can expect some unrelated rain this weekend. Those really dark storm clouds have already made their way in, but our Vivek Crow will have more for you on that in the Weather Center. Vivek?
Thanks, Aaron. That's right. We're going to keep an eye on the hurricane forming here. It's still a tropical storm, Imelda, but now it is morphing into that hurricane, and we can also see Humberto here along the Atlantic coast as well. Then these hurricanes will play into each other, and there may be a Fujiwara effect or a dance between the two hurricanes that may alter their paths. So if we look at a wider glimpse of the hurricanes here, we can see both of them forming on this coast right here. So we could see Humberto down here and Imelda as well, and the possibility of them clashing is very real, but there's still a lot of uncertainty around these two hurricanes and how Humberto's path could affect Imelda's landfall in South Carolina. So stay tuned with that, and back to you.
Bring our hurricane coverage back to campus. We reached out to USC facilities to find out about hurricane preparation on campus. Associate Vice President of Facility Services, Jason Lambert, spoke to Carolina News and explained that preparation has not yet begun, but staging is in place. Lambert says anyone on campus should be on the lookout for communications from the university and exercise caution around campus.
Right now, we're kind of in general preparedness mode. We're watching, monitoring over the weekend. We've got a number of meetings that are scheduled to sort of status updates. And we earlier this morning, we implemented our 3-day out plan.
According to the South Carolina Department of Public Safety, Master Trooper Wayne LaBounty was released from the hospital and transferred to a rehabilitation facility. His release is described as a major step in a long road to recovery. LaBounty was struck by a vehicle while conducting a traffic stop on Highway 1 earlier this month and was immediately taken to the hospital. This accident, along with others, sparked Operation Keep Us Safe, which focused on enforcing move-over laws around the state. The nonprofit Serve and Connect has collected donations to help fund his recovery. So far, they've raised over $9,000.
The site of the Old Richland Mall in Forest Acres is finally getting a makeover. The Forest Acres Planning Committee has voted 5-1 to rezone the site for both apartments and retail space. Our Kyron Williams has the story.
Construction is underway for a new project where the Richland Mall used to be in Forest Acres.
It was a slow death prior to the Amazon phenomenon. It was in pretty rough shape there for some time.
The Richland Mall opened in 1961 and was one of the first open-air malls in South Carolina and started to be torn down in 2024. The City Council of Forest Acres came to a decision last Tuesday about what to do with the property.
The project behind me was set to develop over the span of 2 years and will be broken down into 2 phases. Phase 1 is when an apartment complex will be built, and then phase 2 is when a Kroger and other stores will be added and will roughly cost around $15 million.
For some in the area, the construction has been an eyesore, but others are looking forward to seeing what the development has to offer.
When it first started, everybody was all excited, so everybody's still excited and hopefully we'll be done soon enough, right?
The development is looking to bring more and more people to the area.
For sure, Forest Acres loves new neighbors, so we're always happy to have people. Forest Acres is a very tight community, and so any new people coming in are going to be coming to quite the home.
For Carolina News, I'm Kyron Williams.
The new project development is set to be done by 2027.
Southern Living magazine released their top 50 barbecue joints in the South, and a West Columbia restaurant topped the list. City Limits Barbecue, a family-owned restaurant, took the #1 spot. The magazine noted the brisket, pork, and their Saturday spare ribs as standouts. The restaurant is only open on Saturdays and Sundays, and everything is made in-house. Robbie Robinson, owner of City Limits BBQ, said he found out like everyone else on social media and is extremely thankful for the recognition.
It's a blessing for us to receive this recognition because of the amount of work and the amount of sacrifice that we made to do what we do.
City Limits Barbecue was also a James Beard Best Chef Southeast finalist in 2024 and 2025, and ranked on the New York Times Top 50 Restaurants in America in 2024. Their website says they sometimes run out of food during the weekends and they don't take phone or call-in orders.
Well, don't leave just yet. We'll have so much more coming up on Carolina News. Attorney General Alan Wilson held a press conference at West Columbia's City Hall today to announce the amount of money being granted to services for crime victims in the state. Our Anderson Jones reports.
South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson announced that $26 million will be granted to helping victims of violent crimes throughout the state.
Of that $26 million, in the 11 counties that are represented here today, $10.6 million are going to these service providers.
There are 4 different types of grants: Victims of Crime Act, Violence Against Women Act, State Victim Assistance Program, and Supplemental Allocation of Victim Services. Around 88% of the grant money comes from the federal government, with the remainder being funded by the state.
Right in here, the excitement is evident. This is West Columbia City Hall, and here everyone is showing their pride in the grant money used to make improvements throughout the state. In these papers here,
Director of Crime Victim Services Division, Barbara Jean Nelson said, quote, "Our goal is to have the most effective and most compassionate victim service system across the United States. The program will officially launch on October 1st, and there are all hands on deck when everyone is ready."
I just want to say that we're ready. We're ready for the new year to start. We're ready to start serving victims every day.
In Columbia, Anderson Jones, Carolina News.
This effort marks a significant step in expanding support for those impacted by crime throughout the state.
Moving from victims of crime to crime itself, an Alex Murdaugh associate is facing 5 years in prison for aiding Murdaugh in stealing millions from clients. Russell Lafitte pled guilty on Thursday to state charges, giving him 8 years in prison. Lafitte will appear in court on Monday in Charleston for federal wire fraud charges. Former Spartanburg Sheriff Chuck Wright pled guilty to multiple charges. These charges included financial and controlled substance crimes. Wright was investigated by both the state and the federal government after an article in the Post and Courier noticed personal purchases on his county-funded credit card. He He is still awaiting sentencing and could face nearly 30 years in prison. There are new developments involving the South Carolina Elections Commission. Deputy Executive Director Paige Salinich has been fired. In a termination note sent on September 22nd, the head of HR wrote that Salinich's use of profane language and the discovery that she placed a eliciting device in an SEC training room were the reasons for her termination. There is still an ongoing investigation by SLED, and the investigation does not affect South Carolina voters.
Over in Johnsonville, Jermaine Rochelle Burgess was charged for stealing lottery tickets. Burgess is accused of stealing 10 scratched-off tickets from a Circle K and cashing them for $171 at a different gas station. Both the theft and the cashing were caught on video. Burgess was released on a $6,000 bond on Wednesday. This is not the only incident of stolen lottery tickets in the Florence area recently. A FedEx employee was arrested last week on similar charges.
On a much lighter note, the 50th annual Okra Strut is back in town tonight. Our Delaney Flanagan tells us what's new and what's old about the event.
Dawn Saley moved to Irmo in 2023 to be closer to her mom, but after settling in, she was lonely.
I don't know anybody here because I work from home and I know my mom, So I thought, well, let me sign up.
Enter the Okra Strut. They're still setting up the annual event that started with a joke.
We're not known for growing okra in Irmo.
And turned into a beloved tradition. This time around, the Irmo Okra Strut is celebrating 50 years and a comeback after Hurricane Helene canceled the event last year. The milestone is bringing back tradition, but it's also bringing something new. The Greater Irmo Art Guild is a first-time vendor, and its founders are hoping to reach new audiences.
There was no art here, and I thought I would try to figure out how to make that happen.
And since this is a return for the Strut, Saley says she's excited to bring live music, amusement rides, and lots of okra back to Irmo.
This year, they ordered 1,200 pounds of okra, which they will keep in this freezer. And after they get it out of here, they put it into these fryers, give it out to guests, and some of the proceeds go to charities and to a scholarship fund.
The Okra Strut raises enough for 4 $2,000 scholarships and donations for local nonprofits, including Sister Care, the Irmo Library, and Congaree Riverkeeper. The Okra Strut normally sees around 30,000 people in 2 days. And while the threat of bad weather looms again this year, Saley isn't letting it get to her.
We're praying for no rain, and I have my little helper. He's in my pocket all weekend long.
In Irmo, Delaney Flanagan, Carolina News.
The Irmo Okra Strut runs from 6 to 11 p.m. tonight and tomorrow from 9 to 5.
It's looking like a very wet weekend is headed our way. But let's send it back out to Vivek Crow in the Weather Center to see what's going on now. Vivek?
Thanks, Chloe. Yeah, you can see the sky is getting a little dark behind me, and that is for sure a chance of some rainy weather tonight, tomorrow morning, tomorrow night, and scattered around Sunday. I'll have more for the expected rain over the weekend and at the beginning of next week in our full forecast right after this break. Thanks for staying with us. I'll give you our full forecast here right now. Looking at today in Columbia, we're going to see around 80-degree temperatures right now, lows in the mid to low 70s and highs in those mid to low 80s, looking real nice, especially around the evening time as we're going to get mostly cloudy weather and a nice 75, low 70s around sunset. Now we can move on to across the state. We're seeing some scattered clouds and showers here, especially around the coast. Now, as those hurricanes roll in, it may get wet around the coast, so be careful, have your umbrella ready. Just be prepared. Here around the Midlands, it's looking a little nice, a little cloudy, much cooler than it usually is. And in the upstate, nice partial sun and some clouds and cooler weather as well. Now we're going to look at some of the rain effects from this hurricane watch here. So as we can see, Imelda is coming up on the coast right here. We can see the scattered rain we're going to get hit with across South Carolina. So this is going to be some pretty intense stormy weather. So be prepared for that and expect minor or intense flooding. Moving on now, we're going to see more of the rain impacts. So here across the state, we can see that rain coming in Saturday, heavy rainfall, but Sunday it's going to clear up a little bit, have some scattered thunderstorms ever so often, but not going to be too bad. And then Monday, that hurricane will impact the state, and you will see those rainy weather and the flooding as well there in the region. Now moving on to our game day forecast. It's going to be a little stormy and hectic out there, so if you're planning on going to the game, be careful, bring your umbrella, and try your best to stay dry, although it's pretty much a guaranteed chance of rain all day Saturday. Now up in our 5-day forecast, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a heavy rainy weekend here, and it's going to cool off a little bit at least, but it's not going to clear up till the middle or the end of next week. Thanks for staying with us, and I'll pass you off to the anchor desk.
Sports is next on Carolina News. Our Austin McConnell gives us a look at Cock Hockey's matchup and this weekend's football schedule after the break.
Welcome back to Carolina News. It's time for sports. It's Friday, and that means high school football is back in action tonight, and there has been some movement inside the South Carolina's top 10 rankings. Third-ranked Northwestern hosts 4-0 Catawba Ridge at 7:30 p.m. With number 1 Dutch Fork and number 2 Irmo on a bye week, Northwestern is the highest-ranked team playing tonight. But you don't have to look too far down to see another ranked team playing this week. 6th-ranked Summerville will host 0-4 Goose Creek. The two teams ranked ahead of Summerville also have a bye week, presenting a great opportunity for the Green Wave to jump into the top 5 if they can pull off a win tonight. Moving on to some Saturday football, Clemson also has a bye week, but the Gamecocks are back in Williams-Brice Stadium tomorrow as they host the Kentucky Wildcats at 7:45 p.m. The Gamecocks have won the last 3 matchups against Kentucky and are still looking for their first SEC win on the year. Looking at college football as a whole, the slate this weekend is stacked. In the SEC, 4th-ranked LSU will face off against 13th-ranked Ole Miss in Oxford at 3:30 p.m. The Tennessee Volunteers will also travel to the state of Mississippi to take on the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Tennessee is ranked number 15 in the country. However, don't take your eyes off those Bulldogs. They beat 12th-ranked Arizona State at home just a few weeks ago. And how about this for a nightcap? A top 10 showdown between Oregon and Penn State in Beaver Stadium. Penn State will be sporting their traditional whiteout, and that place will be rocking as they host the undefeated Ducks. And then an epic SEC matchup between the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Georgia Bulldogs. Last year was a shootout resulting in an Alabama win by a score of 41-34. This time, the Dogs will be barking as kickoff is set for 7:30 p.m. under the lights in Athens, Georgia. Lastly, Cock Hockey drops the puck in a 2-game series versus the University of Florida this weekend, starting tonight at 8:10 p.m. The Gamecocks come into this matchup 1-2, and the Gators boast a 3-1 record after splitting their 2 games against FAU last weekend. Puck drop for the second game of the series will take place on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. There's your look at this weekend's sports schedule. Let's send it back to Tyler and Chloe at the desk.
Coming up after the break, a local furry friend is looking for a new home.
Stick with us.
Finally tonight on Carolina News, we've got a spotlight on a furry friend in need of a forever home. This is Good Luck Chuck, or Chuck for short. He's the longest resident at Final Victory Animal Rescue. He's a 3-year-old pit bull mix who was picked up from a rural shelter in Florida after Hurricanes Helene and Milton. Chuck is energetic, affectionate, and easygoing. If you want to adopt Chuck, you can apply on finalvictoryrescue.com.
Now, I'll tell you what, Chloe, if I had a bigger house and wasn't in an apartment, I would adopt Chuck because I love those pit bull mixes. What is your favorite breed, Chloe?
Well, my childhood dog was a King Charles Cavalier Spaniel, so I'm a little bit impartial to that, I think.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know what that is, but I do know that Vivek Crow is in the Weather Center for one more look at the incoming weather. Vivek, what do you got for us?
Oh my God, that dog was the cutest. I would probably say my favorite dogs are Pomeranians. I'm just a sucker for little dogs. I love that kind of stuff. And thanks, guys at the desk. And I'll give you our last little weather wrap-up for the day. Thanks for staying with us. If you're sticking around in Columbia and around the state, you're going to expect some flooding due to these hurricanes coming up, especially in the beginning of next week. You're going to see 4 to 6 inches around that of flooding and rainfall. So leave your cars away from low-lying areas and make sure you watch out for areas that are prone to flooding. Thanks so much for staying with us. That's all the weather I got for you. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Vivek, and thank you so much for being with us. We hope to see you back here tomorrow.
Have a great evening. Stay dry and be safe. That's it.